Hi, everybody. Welcome to Soba. And this is episode 362 with Anna. Hi, Anna.
Hi, Busy.
How are you?
I'm good. Doing good this evening.
I'm so happy to hear that. All right, before we start, we've got to give a shout out to our sponsor, SoberLink. We have all been there. You say you're never going to drink again, and then you drink. Lasting sobriety is about connection, honesty, and trust. Having a loved one who cares about your sober journey can be the key to ending your drinking habits. SoberLink helps you get and stay sober by harnessing the power of proof, small enough to fit in your purse or pocket and discreet enough to use in public. SoberLink devices give you accountability and allow you to rebuild trust with the ones who matter most, including yourself. As a recovery coach, I really can't think of a better tool to maintain accountability, strengthen community, and prove to your loved ones that you are sober. Visit www.soberlink.com/BLS to learn more and receive $50 off your first device or off your device. I don't think I'm buying many of those devices, but it is so fun to have you on. And I'm going to preface this. I'm going to give everybody a little backstory for a minute. I've known Anna for a really long time. And I love her. I love generations of her family. Actually, I knew her grandfather, who was a wonderful person, her grandmother, her aunts, her cousins, her mom. I know everybody. And it's so awesome because she reached out to me and just could relate to one of my podcasts. And she's doing this new journey, which is called, Sober Curious, I think is what we technically call it.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yep.
and it's amazing. And so tell us your story. Tell everybody what happened and made you reach out to me in the beginning.
Well, so that was the podcast with the two young 25-year-old women in LA that had started a business where it was like almost like a pop-up, I forget the terminology, sober bar,
right,
booze free. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm going through that right now. They should have that in Rehoboth. Like that would be fabulous. So anyways, then we connected and talked for 2 hours, and you got me. I wanted to share my story, and I've been wanting to share it for so long, but I'm still truly going through this whole journey that I don't know what it is exactly, but one thing I know is that I think I'm already getting emotional, is that I'm a new person now, a different person. And I didn't quite expect any of this to happen. It just kind of stumbled on. So I'll start the story of we were at home for Christmas, and it was New Year's Eve. And, we were with close to 25 people at my sister's house. And it was great to be with family. And, the next morning I woke up and I just kind of told myself, you know what? I think I'll do the dry January again. So I've always kind of flirted with the idea of being sober, right? Because society has made it okay to do dry January. I'm always like, I'm on board. Let's do it. And I want to say I started doing that about 5 years ago. And the first time, 30 days done, time to have a beer. Second year, probably was pregnant, so I wasn't drinking anyway, but because I have 4 children. But the second time I did that, I was like, okay, like this is kind of extending into mid-February. Odd. And eventually I would pick up and have another drink, hanging out with friends. And this time was very different. It was very different. So January, it was normal. I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal. I can do this. I can have my coffee at night. I can have my tea. Not a big deal. But I started to become curious when it was going into February. And February is Super Bowl. And this was going to be the first time I was back home with all my family that, may have beverages, which is fine. I was like, how am I going to do this? How is this going to work out? And all of my friends were extremely supportive. They're like, you'll be fine. It's not a big deal. But they were still concerned, like, how's that going to go? And it was fabulous. It was great. I managed to find myself some non-alcoholic beverages, and I could hang with everyone until they hung out. So it wasn't a big deal. So I continue on. So that's February. And then at one moment, I stumbled upon this book because I was really becoming curious. So now I'm not throwing out like alcoholism or alcoholic. I'm just like, I am so curious why I still do not want to drink. And I didn't think it was wrong. Like, I just did not understand. So I start Googling stuff. I found that. Started reading articles. I started noticing that famous people are doing this, like, oh, I haven't been, had a drink in 6 months. So I just became very, very curious. And I asked my daughters, the oldest is 14, the middle child, she's number 3. I said, they said, you still haven't had a drink yet, Mom. And I said, yeah, I know, it's not a big deal. And she said, well, then I asked them both. I said, well, I mean, do you want the mom that doesn't drink, or do you want the mom that may have a glass of wine or beer occasionally? And they flat out said, no, I don't. We want the mom that doesn't have any booze ever. So that was kind of shocking. I mean, not shocking, but like, I was like, wow, all right, I should ask you guys more questions. Because you're probably right. So this continues on, right? So now I'm like thinking to myself, well, damn, I still am going to do this. I'm going to push through. And, people would ask, oh, have you had a drink yet? And I would be like, no, damn it, I haven't. Like, I haven't. And then it became almost like, I'm not going to fail. The next time someone asks me, I'm just going to be like, nope, no drinks still. Surprise. Like, so come March, my dear friend had a St. Patrick's Day party, and I had my little 6-pack of my non-alcoholic IPAs, and party was awesome. We had a great time. At one point, she will do get all the women and teach us all how to do the Irish jig. And I was like, all right. She's like, Anna, come here. I'm like, all right. And I roll over, and I had of course, was it a red Solo cup? I had a red Solo cup, and I sat it down, and Maddie and I were dancing. That's my number 3. And it was great. Like, I was dancing, having a great time. I was not intoxicated at all. So we leave the party, and it wasn't yet midnight. And as we were leaving, I saw a cop car, and all the kids are like, oh, there's a cop, you better not be speeding. And then one of them said, well, Mommy, didn't you have a drink? And I said, no, I did not. And my husband said, yeah, I mean, she had her beers. And Maddie said, no, I saw you dancing out on the dance floor, and you definitely had a drink. And I said, Madeline, you can have fun without drinking. Another aha moment for me. Holy crap. She's associating the two. And I've been showing her that that's what you're supposed to do, or that's what you do. So now I'm just like, well, sugar. I'm going to continue doing this and continue and continue and continue. So went down to spring break. I kept on telling myself, and this is in April, I kept on saying, okay, well, if I get to 100 days or next one, oh my God, like, guess what? In March, I found out I lost 10 pounds. Had no idea, because how many months? It takes 3 months to wash out all of the alcohol. You've told me that. I read it somewhere. So I had no idea. And so like all of these things kept on happening where I was like, wow, I don't actually want to drink. I'm down in Florida and there's, we're at the beach, beautiful weather. There's beers over here. I did not want to drink. I physically did not want to pick one up and put it in my mouth. So, I mean, I feel like that may have been like that last kind of event, because other than that, the rest of the last 3 months has just been constant go, go, go. And I just don't have time to really think about it anyway. So that's kind of the timeline of this whole journey of now not being someone that drinks. And I don't know if people find it I'm different or I'm boring. I don't think so. I think I'm still pretty fun.
Well, for one, you're adorable. I have to throw that out there. And for two, I just think that it's so interesting. For you're 8 months. Okay. So now today is actually 8 months that you have
Oh,
drink.
see, I had no idea.
This is 8 months because it's August 1st, right? So it's been 8
no
months
idea.
since you had, look at that, 8 months, happy 8 months. And so you have 4 kids, you have a husband, your marriage is good, and you have 2 girls and 2 boys. You have a busy life. You're constantly running around. Everybody's got a different little thing that they do, right? Everybody's got a sport or a thing that they like to
Yes.
do. I know your daughter
Yes.
is an aspiring actress. We'll just call her an
Yes,
aspiring actress.
she is.
And so you're busy, busy, busy. And prior to this, you drank. How would you say your drinking was prior to January 1st?
I would say weekly, at least 4 or 5. I mean, it wouldn't be unheard of if it was a beautiful day on a Monday and I just decided to have a beer, or a stressful day. Could be a Wednesday, more so that probably the weekends, you have friends over, 3 or 4 glasses of wine. I don't think I certainly was someone that was 5 or 6 every single night, but it's been a constant probably in my life since I was before I was 21, right? I mean, let's be honest, everyone's going to pick up a drink. So it's always kind of been part of my life. And I think that for my kids now, I don't necessarily know that I want that to be something that they're always associating every single day or every single party or events, going to places, always being like, okay, well, we have to go here to get beer, or we have to go here to do this. There's so much more to life than just thinking about, well, we got to go to the liquor store first.
But that's part of so many people's lives, right? It's like everybody,
It is.
It is. It's part of our culture. And I don't just think it's Americans, right? It's obviously it's Italians and it's Irish people and it's Dutch people. But having the forfeiture to say, oh my gosh, this dry January came up, because they weren't doing this back, when I was getting sober. And I think it's so brilliant that they actually put it out there, and it's become this great craze that people are like, you know what? It's cool to be sober curious, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I will say I've mentioned it to quite a few people, if they will listen to me. But a few that I have been very intrigued, wondering, I've actually thought of that too. And I said, really? I thought it was only me that thought, 5-10 years ago, like, goodness, wouldn't it just be nice not to wake up with a little bit of a hangover? Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? So I just, it's crazy too, how different I feel. I do truly feel like a different person. And I think my kids have noticed it. I finally did. And I hesitantly asked my daughter, well, why did you choose, when I asked you something in February? And she kind of looked at me funny and she was scared to tell me. And she said, well, I don't know how to really say it. And I said, just say it. She goes, well, you were kind of different. You kind of annoyed me. I said, well, don't I always annoy you? And there was one other thing, but I was just like, oh. And she said, and I noticed you and daddy don't fight as much anymore. And I went, oh, well, all right. These are all positive things that like I know as an adult I should freaking know. But when you've got a 14-year-old telling you these things, you're just like, yeah, I know. I should have handled that differently. Like we learn from our children. And I've changed. Like I've noticed when we do go out, I'm always like, okay, what can we do? What's the next, like, you want to go play volleyball? You want to go do this? Like, can we play cards? Like I can't sit still anymore and just, I mean, if it was I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring it all out on how to be in a setting while everyone is having drinks, you know, because you are kind of the odd man out. But I'm finding my way in.
But
just takes time.
Isn't it so? It's like everybody, if you think about it, is paying attention to themselves, right? They're not really looking at you going, oh my gosh, look at her, as much as we feel like they are. And we feel like everybody's like, oh, look at her. She's not drinking. What's wrong with her? Or, you know, what's going on with her? But the fact being that, for one, you lost 10 pounds. I mean, you don't even have to think about it. I mean, how many people are dying to lose 10 pounds? And they're like, how am I going to lose 10 pounds? What am I going to do? Oh, you have to quit drinking. And you're like, I guess if you have to do it, it's a totally different thing than wanting to have this, right?
Yeah.
Having this life where your kids are like, oh my gosh, mom's fun, because I saw her on the dance floor. She can't be having fun without drinking, right? She can't dance. How many women have said they can't dance because they haven't had drinks? But you're like, yes, I can.
Yeah. The other thing, to be an example for them. So I don't want them to always be like, if they have something going on with them, right, and they are of age to drink, I don't want their coping mechanism to be, oh my God, I'm stressed out, let me have a beer. Or mom, like, yes, a mother of 4, sometimes my brain is fried. And I used to think, oh my God, let me just go have a beer. Right. So like today, long day, I knew I had this coming up. And I told you, I was like, I could feel the nerves. And I was just like, I just got to go hit the pavement. I could have just had a beer, but then I wouldn't have been my true self.
And that authentic self. And so what do you do? And so the moms that are out there and they're going, oh my gosh, she's doing this. She's like an example to our kids. I mean, this is the most important time because we try to tell our kids, don't drink. It's not really good for you. I know with my kids, I'm like, we've got this gene in our family. When they were growing up, I was like, we got to talk about it. I just don't want anything to happen to you because, you know, drinking and driving and certain decisions you make if you're impaired, it aren't great. Right. So being that example is huge.
Right.
So if the moms are out there, what are you doing? And your husband, is he still drinking?
Yes. Although I may have enticed him. It took 8 months, but I just thought, you know, I kind of whispered something in his ear like, hey, guess what? We're not getting any younger. So if we want to portray ourselves as a healthy person, which I think subconsciously that may have also been what happened back in January, because I did see a picture of myself and I went, I consider myself pretty fit, athletic, healthy person. And I was just like, I mean, she looks all right, but like, is that her best? Could she be better? And what may be holding her back? And I thought, and it was random. My father-in-law was like, I picked up beers. It was New Year's Day. It was a beautiful day in Southern Maryland. And I said, oh, I'm actually not going to have one. And he was kind of like, oh, okay. Like no big deal, but it was just kind of cute. He thought of me to get me beer for the thing. God love him.
But now that it's not a part of your life, I know that you've had other friends that you've gone over and been invited and they're like, do you want a beer? And you say no. And they kind of get a little sober curious, don't they?
Yes, they do. And they're all very supportive. I mean, they are just constantly like, no big deal, Anna. Like, we don't have to drink. I said, it doesn't bother me. That's the other thing that's, I think is very strange, that it doesn't bother me that my husband has drinks in the evening. Like, I have my, I got, look, you'd think I was
I love
making
it.
some
No, I
dough
love
off them.
it.
I stumbled upon these and they're all different types. Like, this one's detox. There's one for bedtime. There's one for stress relief. And so I just go right for that in place of having anything else. I go there. The other thing I just started doing, which I never thought I would be someone that meditated. Oh my gosh. I started that in January, and it was all very random. It's just, I think you mentioned when we talked something about, it was almost like a spiritual awakening. Like, I just was like, I need to meditate now. Like, this is what I'm doing. And
Wow.
I don't know what's happening, but I'm going with it. We're just doing it.
Well, you're changing, right? You're growing up. Isn't that kind of what it is? It's like we grow up. It's like we try to we become these moms and we think that we're grown-ups, but then when it, like, especially a 14-year-old, they're 14, are they 12, 14, 12?
14, 13, 11, and 8.
Okay, so that's a lot, and it's a lot of personalities. And when we're in it, when they're little, now they're kind of they can kind of take care of themselves. And you're like, what is my part in all of this, right? Am I just going to be their driver, or am I going to be somebody that they want to emulate?
Right.
Right.
Right. You hit it. That's exactly what it is. I think I wrote that down somewhere with all of my notes. That I want to be someone that they want to be.
Exactly. And for so long, I think with our parents, and I don't think anything's bad about whatever our parents did and everything, there's no judgment here.
No,
but there was no opportunity before. It was like, either you're an alcoholic, you need to go to a 12-step program, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I get that does occur for people that hit these rock bottoms that are humongous. And you didn't hit any major rock bottom except for going, I saw myself in the mirror. I don't like what I'm looking at anymore. I need to change something. January's the perfect pinnacle time, right? Because everybody makes these huge New Year's resolutions, but you got into it and it's stuck. And your kids, most importantly, who are like, again, they're our little sponges. They watch us and we're like, oh my gosh. And when you said that to your girls, and they actually piped up and said, you know what? We like this better.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I'm going to find other coping mechanisms, because the old thing of getting the drink that, again, our parents showed us because there was no other options. Now it's like cool, right? And the drinks that they have available today. I mean, what do you think about what do you think about all these non-alcoholic? And they were zero proof was their parties, was zero proof.
Zero proof. Okay. Oops, did I lose you? No, I didn't. They even have Corona non-alcoholic. All of the IPAs, there's Athletic Brewing Company, which everybody knows, like, I love a good IPA, and they always have a high alcohol level. But what's interesting is that in a setting, right? So like, everyone's having a drink, and I would usually only have the Athletic Brewing, the non-alcoholic ones, 2 tops, right? And one whole evening.
Right.
If, 6 months back, I would have had 5 or 6, because guess what? Alcohol is addicting.
Exactly.
So it immediately tells your brain, keep on drinking. And the other kind that I had is just, I still feel the same, with having that. I still am like, oh, everyone deserves a little treat.
Right.
But I discovered that in one sitting, I only would have 2 of those.
Because you got full.
I was just like, that's it. That's all I needed. Like,
isn't that crazy? And
Yeah.
didn't you love what those girls said on my podcast, which I still cannot even stop thinking about, is how alcohol is such a big part of our lives. Like people go and sit down at big business meetings, like to make like a huge sale, let's say a plane or something. And they're having these drinks and they're like, all their inhibitions are gone. They can't really make like sharp decisions like this. And you wonder, when did it become so important to have that drink? Because really you aren't on the ball.
Right. No, no, you're not. You're not.
No.
Absolutely.
No. So have your friends changed? Has any of that changed since you quit?
My relationship with my friends?
Yes.
No. No. Not at all.
Isn't that
Which
awesome?
which in this book is interesting because it says there's this one point of who your real friends are, or the real people that you want to hang out with, and you'll figure it out once you're sober for 8 months.
And has that happened to you? Have you lost any friends?
No,
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 no.
no, they're all, like I said, they're just very supportive. I don't know how deep in thought I am. I don't think people know how deep in thought I am about this whole thing. Because it's kind of like taken over. I gotta look at these notes because I feel like I forgot something. I already said that. Did I tell you run, walk, healthy habit?
No,
Oh,
no, you didn't tell
talking.
me about the run. You didn't tell me about the walking. You
Well,
told me you
so
hit the pavement. And that's one of the things I want to say for the person that's out there. They're like, well, wait a minute. What do you do at that bewitching hour when it's time to make dinner and everybody's freaking out and running around? I mean, and you already
Yeah,
went through half of a school year and now you've done almost the entire summer, which is crazy, right? Because nobody's structured. I mean, I know you got 1 week when your kids all went to camp, but that was it.
yes,
I
yeah.
mean, that's a lot of personality. And how are you going through it? And what do you do instead of going to that drink that everybody does?
Yeah, I'm running, I'm walking, I'm meditating, I'm reading, playing with the kids, cooking. I mean, just, or nothing. I don't really like watching TV, so that's not a go-to, but I don't know. That's kind of it. And one of the lovely things about these teas, which gets me through, are the little love notes, the little quotes on here. So oddly enough, today's says the purpose of life is to know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. I thought, well, isn't this appropriate timing? Because it's all about. I feel like I'm. I don't know.
Well,
Still figuring things out.
Is it fun to say you're like Anna 3.0 or Anna 4.0 if you're supposed to like do that? Because I've heard people say that, because where you are today is that you are loving yourself and you've decided that
Yeah.
it's like, we don't learn in school to love ourselves at all, do we? We don't.
I've heard you say that before. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
it's like,
that's the one thing I tell the kids all the time. And they sometimes roll their eyes at me, but I say, you have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And my little Henry says, but I love you the most. I'm like, I know, bud.
well, he's supposed to say that. And he's only 9, right? You're going to be the number one until he meets somebody, and then it's going to be
Yeah.
right. But it is, I love the joy in your face and your eyes sparkle. And I love that you're present, because I think we spend so much time, especially I remember when my kids were that age, is wishing that time away, right? We wish the time to go. We want them to be big. We want them to be able to carry their own bag, do your own home, like everything. We're just like, I need a break. And are you looking at life that way very much these days?
No. So that is one of the, which I wonder if there's a way I can pull this up on my phone without, can you still see me?
No, but it's okay. Cause I don't know how many people will watch us on YouTube anyway. They're going to listen to you.
Okay. I had jotted down some things during this whole discovery. And that was the one thing I definitely wrote: more present and connected, in control, and want to be in control a lot. I want to know everything that's happening. Want to be present, and be present 110% of the time. And let me just see. Discovered I love to meditate. Figuring out myself still, and will for the rest of my life. Changing is living. Staying in the same funk and not doing anything is not living. I had no idea my kids truly saw that. You know what I was saying about Kate and Madeline. And I would never want them to emulate that. So.
No. You're
and then
like so strong.
Then the last thing I wrote, I think I mentioned this already. Kept telling myself, oh, once I do this, I'll start back drinking again. That's another big thing that so many people have said. Well, I'll just cut back on the weekends. And I was telling myself that. But that was that comment about I wanted to prove everyone wrong. Like, no, I can do this. I can do this. It's no big deal.
And it hasn't been hard, has it?
No, it really hasn't been hard. Really at all. I don't think. Not true. I mean, not to the point where now. I will say certain things have come to light, minuscule, but I'm more aware of certain things. I don't want to dive into those, but that's been interesting, because I'm like, okay, let me work on that. Let me work on those things that I've now come to light, and either I'm happy about or I'm frustrated about. But it's all been a very positive journey thus far.
Well, I'm rooting you on, and I'm sure everybody that's listening is going to be cheering you on, because you're giving everybody inspiration. Because reality is that it's a liquid, right? It's a spirit. That's the problem with alcohol. It's a spirit. That's why they call it the spirit store, right? So it changes your whole thing. It gets you fuzzy. You don't really, your faculties don't work like they normally do. Your decision making isn't as strong as it used to be. So now you're there 110%. You are present in the moments with your kids. And you will have no regrets of like, oh my gosh, I wish I had said this. I wish I had done that. Where now you get to just do it.
Yeah. Yep.
And you're never going to say, oh my God, I wish I drank through my kids' years of being in their teens. I really wish I had done that. Right.
I may walk around the house with earplugs. I think this morning I was out the door by 7 o'clock taking someone to basketball practice. Just go, churn. And I love, that's the other thing I'd love to be a morning person, but I have to have a reason to get up that early. But once you get me out there, I'm good. And so that's this other author that I read. He's got, his name is James Clear, and he has something about 30 habits. And so I was getting, and I think I did also start this early in the year. See, all of it kind of like was very random.
You're talking about Atomic Habits. Yes. His book's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
So I was getting, each week I would get a tip on habits, on what to do. And like some of it's obvious, but one of them was like, you need to just do it. Do you want to be healthy? Then eat healthy, walk. Like you can't just go straight to the prize. You need to like, what do you envision that being? Find out the steps to get there instead of just always like, oh, I want to be healthy. I'll run this time. I'll do this. I'll do this. And just, you have to follow through too, I think. I mean,
Well,
I don't
sounds like
always
you
follow
make-
through.
But you make yourself a priority, and you're making this a priority, is being the best you can be today.
Right. Because I am 42.
You're a baby.
And you never know when your time's up. And to know that, oh my gosh, I missed all those moments. Like I have a couple times thought back and gone, Jesus, like that was bogus. I was at this great concert and I'm pretty sure I don't remember any of it. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to know everything that's happening at all times and be fully there versus not being fuzzy, not seeing who you are. I guess it's a spiritual thing.
It really is. It really is. I am so happy you came on tonight. I am so,
thank
so
you.
happy. And I love this for your family. I love this for your husband. I love it for everybody that you touch, because you're showing us that you can do it, and you can still dance, and you can still be the best person that you were even before you. I mean, let's face it, we're so much better when we don't need that stuff, right? We don't need to put that alcohol in our bodies to make us something, because we already are something, right?
Right. You just have to find it. Just have to find it.
And it feels uncomfortable. It sounds like a little bit at sometimes it feels really uncomfortable, right? And you go into situations where you're like, okay, I used to be able to handle this, and now I don't know, but you can leave. Isn't that the
Yeah.
best? You can
Yes.
leave. You can leave.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun.
Correct.
Oh my gosh, Anna, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
It's been
thank you.
awesome. I love you tons. I'm so excited for your family. If people want to, I'm just going to say, reach out to me, reach out to Elizabeth at elizabethchance.com. And if you want to get in touch with Anna, I will forward your email to Anna and she will respond. But thank you so much for coming on.
No.
And all my
Thank
listeners,
you.
if you are loving the show, please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, keep getting busy, living. Bye, everybody.